And you were 14.
I was 14.
And how
yes.
old was James at the time?
I think 21, maybe 20, 21.
Damn, man.
You guys, we seriously need to talk about James Charles because the internet is buzzing like never before. Kayla Malik and Jacob Sartorius have stepped into the storm, calling out everything connected to James and the claims made by Ethan Ratt, the same Ethan we covered last week. Kayla has been sounding the alarm on TikTok, trying to shine light on this whole situation and back up Ethan's story with real urgency. We're diving straight into what was said last week because things got heavy fast. The serious allegations made against James Charles by Ethan back in 2020 have resurfaced and brought a whole new wave of attention. At the time, Ethan, who was only 14, claimed that James had initiated inappropriate conversations after adding him on Snapchat, even after allegedly being told his age. That detail alone shook people, and it's why this story refuses to stay buried. Some folks question the legitimacy of Ethan's claims back then because there was barely any proof, plus the screenshots were deleted, leaving a lot of doubt floating around. But now Ethan is back online at 20 years old, determined to tell his story with receipts in hand and a stronger voice than before. He was tired of not being believed, and now that he's older, he wanted to show the world every piece of proof he held on to, including documentation that he had spoken to lawyers at the time, reinforcing that he really did try to report what happened. Ethan also made it clear that he wasn't chasing money, shutting down that rumor before it even had room to grow. He even stated that he declined pursuing a potential settlement because, in his own words, it was never about the cash. It was about truth. And this week, Kayla Malik and Jacob Sartorius reignited the conversation by bringing Ethan onto their platform, pushing these accusations back into the spotlight. During their interview, Kayla later jumped on TikTok to confirm that the conversations between James and Ethan were real, saying it happened, and stressing that this isn't a did it happen debate. It's a situation where she believes the answer is already clear. When they sat down with Ethan, they pressed him about everything he had been talking about. And
What the actual is wrong with this dude? James Charles, you are the worst person, and everybody who said you're dragging it, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You.
He explained how James first saw one of his videos and then wanted to shift their conversation over to Snapchat, which is where things eventually took a darker turn, according to Ethan. Ethan later shared that James knew his age, and he even talked to him about how he was literally still in high school. That detail hit hard because it shows this wasn't some mystery. Ethan says James was fully aware. Ethan also claims that James knew he wanted to make a video with him, and used that as leverage, basically flipping his fame into a kind of power move to ask things from Ethan. That's the part that made people stop and look twice because it added a whole new layer to the story. Jacob later called out the fact that James's content is catered to kids, which sparked even more conversation around all this. Whether people agree or not, that comment definitely stirred things up. To be fair, I haven't seen these slime videos either, but I do believe James's audience leans younger, and that's not exactly a secret. When he's playing Dress to Impress over and over on his channel, it's pretty clear he's tapping into that younger crowd, even if he mixes in content meant for adults. And yeah, James loves video games. He's been into all that since before the makeup era, so the overlap makes sense. But honestly, the way James edits his videos, the thumbnails, the bright colors, the fast cuts, the TikTok clips, everything screams youth appeal, whether intentional or not.
And every single comment is filtered.
They're all gone.
Yeah. They're all
Where
gone.
do they go?
Even though he posts videos where he drinks or smokes, which obviously aren't meant for kids, the overall style still feels like it's crafted to grab a younger audience's attention. Younger audiences are naturally drawn to click on his stuff or stick around if they land on one of his videos. And it seems Jacob was feeling the same way after he and Kayla ended their call with Ethan. As soon as they hung up, Kayla went off, because she had already called out James a couple months ago and people tried to say she was dragging it. She said she wanted to tell all those people F you, because after hearing Ethan's story, she couldn't believe how anyone was still defending James. To them, it was clear that he has a pattern. Finding people on social media, befriending them, then moving the conversation over to Snapchat. Kayla and Jacob were shocked, asking, what the actual is wrong with this dude, James Charles, because the behavior felt way too familiar to them. Kayla then revealed that with her ex, Evan, when James was talking to him, he was moving in almost the exact same way as he did with Ethan. And she even shared that James had commented on Evan's video when he was 16, which made the whole situation feel even more unsettling for them. The two of them were just mind blown, trying to understand how James was still active online after all of this. Kayla also called out that James filters his comment section and carefully curates videos that attract a younger audience, which in her eyes is part of how he keeps slipping through the cracks without facing bigger consequences. Jacob even said he couldn't believe that James's parents still talk to him, which hit people because at one point, even James's own brother wasn't speaking to him. And James admitted that himself in a past interview. I don't know why he ever admitted that, because it honestly felt like he was trying to pull sympathy. But instead, everybody reacted like your own brother wasn't even speaking to you. And that alone sounded alarming to people. Since then, though, there have been Christmas photos where his brother is there, smiling beside him. So clearly things improved enough for them to share a family holiday together. But even with that, Jacob feels like James's family shouldn't be associated with him right now, especially with all these accusations circling again. And honestly, that take added even more heat to the situation. James has not acknowledged any of this happening online as of right now, and like they said, he has blocked any comments about it. It almost feels like James has been able to dodge consequences for so long that he believes nothing can touch him anymore, repeating the same, I didn't know, anytime a situation comes up. But people are looking at the bigger picture and asking why he was using social media like a dating app in the first place. And the biggest question everyone keeps going back to is this. Even if he claims he thought people were of age, why was there ever a guessing game at all? You're a famous person with everything to lose. Why risk your reputation by talking to anyone whose age could be unclear? The pattern makes people uncomfortable, and it's happened so many times that even James's romantic interests keep landing him in trouble. At this point, it feels like he thinks he can't be touched, and that's exactly what people find concerning. But seeing Kayla and Jacob stand on business and actually call him out has been refreshing, because not many big creators have been willing to speak up lately. Tana has said things before, sure, but outside of that, it's been quiet. They even pointed out how news outlets haven't really been writing about this. And not many people have been talking about Ethan coming forward with his story, which left them completely mind-blown because they couldn't understand why something this serious wasn't getting more attention. After all of this, Kayla and Jacob started realizing just how deep the silence around James truly goes. And that's when they said everything started to feel even more suspicious. They felt like every time new information comes out, it gets brushed away or drowned out, almost like people are scared to speak on it, or don't want the backlash that comes with calling James out. They talked about how wild it is that smaller creators are the ones carrying the weight of these conversations, while bigger names stay quiet. And they said it feels like everyone tiptoes around James because of his influence. That energy alone made them even more fired up about pushing Ethan's story forward, because they kept saying that if they don't highlight it, who will? What really got them shaken was seeing how many people online had no idea Ethan even came back with proof, and how quickly the topic got buried under random drama and trends. Kayla said it felt like a whole cycle. Serious allegations appear, James ignores it, fans defend him, and then everything fades until the next wave hits again. But this time, they said the energy feels different because Ethan is older, more confident, and clearly not backing down. And with Kayla and Jacob putting their platforms behind him, they feel like the story finally has the strength to push through the noise. They also mentioned how James staying silent only makes things look worse, especially when he keeps blocking comments and pretending none of this exists. They said that kind of behavior makes the public doubt him even more because it gives off the vibe that he hopes ignoring the issue will make it disappear. And honestly, the way they talked about it, you could tell they feel a shift coming, like people are finally fed up. And the old strategies won't save James this time. They said audiences are smarter now. They pay attention, and they're not letting patterns like this slide just because someone has a big name behind them. By the end of their conversation, they made it clear that this isn't just about one story. It's about a history of repeated behavior that keeps resurfacing, and they want people to really look at that pattern instead of brushing each situation off as a one-time mistake. But I just feel like it's one of those things we've heard about James for so long that people almost got numb to it, even though this situation is incredibly serious and deserves real attention. It's like James moves as if nothing can touch him, like he truly believes he can get away with it every single time. And that mindset is exactly why so many are speaking up now. But I want to know what you guys think, because your perspective matters in all of this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Tell me how you feel, what stood out to you, and what you think should happen next. I love you guys so much, and thank you for sticking through this deep dive with me. Before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment to keep this conversation alive and make sure more people see what's really going on. I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye, guys.